guys, I totally forgot to set this up, but we have Dina and Allan as your round 5, and I have no puns for that right now. I am trying to make sure that I can get this going, but it'll be a fun match. I mean, if you guys have been watching SoCal streams for the past couple of years, or any regional streams, you know that both of these guys have been doing their very, very best, and I'm kind of super excited to see what they're going to bring to the table. Tyranitar, Togekiss, Gothitelle, Arcanine, Gyarados, and Dragapult, which surprisingly is the first Dragapult I've seen all day on stream on Allan's side and on Dina's side. Hatterene, Rhyperior, Gastrodon, Gothitelle as well, Torkoal, and Indeedee. So a little bit of a mix of Pokemon that we've seen all day. Both of these guys, well, Dina's especially kind of showing that Trick Room side. You've got the Gothitelle, you've got the Indeedee, you've got slow Pokemon like Rhyperior, like Torkoal, Gastrodon, and Hatterene, which, you know, can set up the Trick Room alongside like Gothitelle. You have the setup with Indeedee here. You've got Allan's side, which can kind of be fast if it needs to. You've got the Dragapult. You've got Togekiss, Pokemon that are pretty heavy and attack, can hit hard and fast as long as you can stop something like Trick Room from getting up, but also has the chance of reversing a Trick Room possibly with its own Gothitelle. Gothitelle kind of got something really cool this season, which would be Fake Out, which made it even more terrifying with Shadow Tag. But you've got to be careful because Dina does have that potential to bring in the Indeedee as well, and so is going to be able to set that Psychic Terrain, which means any priority moves like Fake Out will not hit Pokemon who are touching the ground. So we are going to see that classic sort of lead with Hatterene and Indeedee, which was beautiful Hatterene right there. And we've got Gothitelle and Tyranitar actually from Allan's side of the field, so have the potential for sort of the Trick Room switches here. No Fake Out possible right now because Psychic Surge is going to be up on the field, so priority moves are not going to work for Pokemon who are on the who are touching the ground right now. Tyranitar, though, kind of a scary Pokemon to see. It is part dark, so it has to be careful for any fairy type moves that might happen. And Indeedee could go for the Follow Me redirect that we know that it likes to do with Hatterene. But I think if you're Dina, you're gonna have to be careful and think to yourself, hey, do I decide to set up Trick Room now? And if I don't, how do I stop this Tyranitar? And I think we might be seeing a couple Dynamaxes just from the get-go here, because it is kind of scary to be staring down a Pokemon that, one, can reverse your own Trick Room, or two, can deal a lot of damage to you if you are not careful. And so we do actually see no Dynamaxes. We do see the Indeedee going for the Follow Me instead here, becoming the center of attention, drawing all attacks to it, as Crunch is going to do some harsh damage into that Indeedee. Almost picks up the knockout. However, that Focus Sash is going to make sure that any attack that Gothitelle might have on it is going to cause it to be redirected to Indeedee. Gothitelle goes for Imprison instead, so any moves that Hatterene and Gothitelle, yep, there we go. That Trick Room is denied to Dina there, as we have that Imprison going to make sure that because both these Pokemon share the same move, they cannot use that, as Indeedee faints on this turn. That Follow Me really only helping to serve knock it out for this turn. So Dina already put in kind of a little bit of a tough spot here. And Allan kind of showing off a kind of cool way to use Imprison. I know it's the stuff that people have joked about before, but seeing it in action now is really kind of cool, as Gastrodon takes the place of its fallen ally. Kind of a good so a Pokemon here that would have benefited, of course, immensely from Trick Room, but is at least able to do some sort of water type damage with Scald to Tyranitar, go for anything like a burn, could go for Earth Powers. Gonna have to be a little bit wary of what else that Gothitelle might be carrying right now. Hatterene, we now know can't use that Trick Room, is going to try to have to pick up some knockouts here, and also be wary of that Tyranitar. We know that it has Crunch, which Hatterene will resist because it is part Fairy, but it could have something like a Steel type move. Since we didn't see Dynamaxes before, they have a high potential of showing up in this round. Nope, as Tyranitar goes straight for that Crunch, goes into that Hatterene, and does some considerable damage into there. As Psychic from Gothitelle is going to double down into that Hatterene. Still gets it down into just the 30 HP spot though, as Gastrodon goes for the Earth Power, goes into that Tyranitar, and does some really good damage into it, gets it down to almost half health. And Dazzling Gleam, gonna connect with both Pokemon here, is gonna, so close to picking up that knockout on Tyranitar. And Hatterene still hanging on here, has to be really careful, will be knocked out this turn. If not, Tyranitar still around for another turn or two. Gastrodon not taking any damage, and is just kind of staring down its opponents, being like, hey, I can Earth Power again if you need me to. Hatterene could potentially go for a Protect this turn, but has, I think will take about like 14 or so HP from the Sandstorm at the end. Gothitelle also just kind of sitting nicely there, able to help support this Tyranitar really well for all of its attacks. So Dina kind of in a tough spot, but has the potential to kind of turn it around as long as that Tyranitar is kind of taken out. Or be careful what Allan has in the back. But we do finally see the Dynamaxes on this turn, as Gothitelle is going to be, I think, the Pokemon of choice here for Allan to choose to Dynamax. And again, it's going to be a rough Pokemon to take down. 3 turns of a HP boosted Gothitelle that has something like Shadow Tag, and we've seen it have Imprison. That's gonna be rough. It also benefits from the Psychic Terrain that was set up by Indeedee at the beginning of the game. As Rock Slide connects with both Pokemon, picks up that knockout now in Hatterene. Gastrodon also gets hit by here. If it flinches, it's gonna make a huge difference. That critical hit also kind of rough here, like just not a lot of good RNG right now on the team's side, as Max Mindstorm does not pick up the KO. And Muddy Water is actually going to connect with both Pokemon, picks up the knockout finally on that Tyranitar. But Gothitelle, again, that boosted HP, a pretty bulky Pokemon for the most part, is going to be sticking around for all 3 of its Dynamax turns at least, as Togekiss is going to be the last Pokemon sent out here. Oh, sorry. Is going to be the Pokemon sent out on Allan's side. And Dina, which we see her have like a pretty heavy Trick Room team, is going to have that Rhyperior as the last Pokemon of choice here. You know, Rhyperior has every chance to be able to turn around a game as long as it can get something like a weakness policy set up. We know it can be absolutely devastating with a +2 special attack and attack. And we are going to see her go for that Dynamax on this turn. It is most likely going to be that Rhyperior. You want to try to get the most out of that Pokemon as you can, especially because you're down to your last 2 Pokemon right now. Rhyperior, again, could be, you know, the Pokemon that turns this game around as long as you have the damage for it to be able to do something. So, as of right now, like, a little bit of a tough spot, but still kind of able to do something here, as Gastrodon does get knocked out by the Dazzling Gleam. Rhyperior takes it like a champ here. Max Mindstorm though to do some pretty good damage thanks to that Psychic Terrain boost from earlier. Rhyperior just, I don't know, like strong as a rock right now as it goes for the Max Rock Fall. Not boosted by any sort of weakness policy though, but oh my goodness, just squashes that Togekiss absolutely to the ground, and Togekiss is down and out for the count, and that's actually going to push Allan to his last Pokemon here. And all 3 of the last Pokemon, oh, there's that Gyarados, so actually a pretty good choice because of the fact that this is a Rhyperior, and it does get a chance to intimidate the Rhyperior, so it puts it at -1. So its attacks are going to hit a little bit less hard, and Gyarados with water type moves, there's a very high chance that Rhyperior won't actually survive those, so it's gonna be a little rough. I still think there might be a chance Gothitelle isn't able to do as much damage on its own. It's really meant to support Pokemon by its side, right? But Waterfall, it's actually does not knock out that Rhyperior and activates its weakness policy instead. So does give a +2 attack, so it's just going to be a +1 attack as of right now, thanks to the fact that Gyarados did intimidate it. It survives that Max Minds. Oh my gosh, and it survives the Max Mindstorm with 7 HP, goes for the Max Rockfall. Does manage to pick up the KO, however, because of the fact that Dina's Rhyperior is slower than Gothitelle will be able to attack first. Any sort of attack that can connect will cause this Rhyperior to knock out. But I will say, I did not expect it to get down to the last 2 Pokemon. That Rhyperior is a literal tank right now. That is ridiculous. Like, that it was able to hold on with that much. Like, that was the best time to choose to Dynamax it. It was despite like being on your last legs, the fact that Rhyperior was able to hold on and stay like that is insane. Like, it just shows you how important having that weakness policy is, because like, oh my gosh, that was actually pretty close and kind of terrifying. But now that Allan has shown that he uses Imprison Gothitelle, the question is, how do you counteract that? Because Imprison is going to make it so that you can't use Trick Room, right? And then the question now is, do you just go straight for attacks here, and do you bring in something else as a lead now that you know that Indeedee and Hatterene might not work, right? And if you're thinking that way, then if you're Allan, are you going to go for the same one? I actually think there's nothing wrong with bringing in Gothitelle and Tyranitar, because that Shadow Tag means that your opponent, in this case Dina, can't switch out any of her Pokemon because they're going to be trapped in because of Shadow Tag. So I think having that same lead would be really good. But I think if you're Dina, you're gonna think of a different way to like kind of work around the fact that you have a pretty hard trick room team, but you're able to survive pretty far into like the match with just the hard trick room, and that Rhyperior managed to stay on for that long, right? There's every chance you could bring in that Torkoal, and I mean, if you got Eruption Torkoal, which is definitely, I know, something that people have been trying to run for a little bit as well, like Eruption is HP based, which Eruption and Water Spout are two things I am saying again for this format, but an HP based move like that might be a little rough to use, especially if you're gonna get double targeted. But if you use two Pokemon that, hey, if you hit one but not the other, you're gonna pay for it, like, it's just kind of one of those things where I think Dina has options around not being able to use Trick Room. And if you bring both Gothitelle and maybe Hatterene, which one do you use? Like, which one do you use as a Trick Room? You could use both as a Trick Room, and then like nothing gets stopped, right? So I think it's possible to turn it around. It just is going to require a lot of craftiness, and against a team that's pretty aggressive on Allan's side, that's going to be a little bit tough to do. But we'll see exactly how she decides to adjust in this second game. So we will kind of, I mean, I think it's definitely possible, especially after that game one. That was a lot closer than I expected it to be. And there we go, that is Didi and Rhyperior instead going to be the lead of choice here, as Allan does decide to lead with the Gothitelle and the Tyranitar. So we are going to see a little bit of a change here from Dina. Gonna benefit from that Sandstorm a lot earlier than before, and Psychic Surge going to be set up, so gonna benefit the Gothitelle as well on Allan's side. But no Pokemon on Dina's side can use Trick Room, so Imprison not going to really be as important here. And Rhyperior, despite not having you know, like that chance to get that weakness policy proc yet, could still do a lot of damage once it decides to Dynamax, if it decides to Dynamax on this turn or any other turn. And Didi also has access to something like Helping Hand, which, again, if Allan does have Helping Hand on his Gothitelle as well and chooses to Imprison this turn, that could also throw a wrench in her plan. But I think this lead change is definitely a good idea from her. I think it shows that she understands that Trick Room, the hard Trick Room, might not work on this turn, so you're going to have to do something like Dynamax your Rhyperior from turn 1 and get the most damage you can get out of it. We saw it take a lot of moves from early on, and if you can take a Waterfall from the Gyarados and survive that, then you are golden. So here is a rough Pokemon to try to take down. That is a lot of HP for it, and you just, yep, there we go. We see that Helping Hand going to help out that Rhyperior, and it is going to be able to go for a like huge powered like Dynamax move, as Tyranitar protects itself, does not want to get caught in whatever's happening here, and Gothitelle as well. So Allan doing his best to try to mitigate the damage that he is going to be receiving from this Pokemon here, as Max Knuckle is the move of choice here from the Rhyperior, goes into that Tyranitar, still does almost half HP behind that Protect, thanks to the fact that that Helping Hand gave it a boost in its attack. And you know what, that +1 attack to Rhyperior, also going to be really rough for it. The rough part here is Didi's Focus Sash is going to be broken, so any sort of move into it, something like a Crunch, will hurt it. But actually another Helping Hand and Max Knuckle will knock out pretty much anything on Allan's side of the field. And I think if you're Allan, you're going to have to double down onto that Rhyperior to take it out, and I think if you're Dina and you recognize that, you can just really attack with Indeedee if you've got anything else besides Follow Me and Helping Hand there, right? So you've got Crunch going straight into that. Indeedee is going to pick up the knockout for it. We did not see that Helping Hand. There was no Follow Me, so again, that Focus Sash being broken means that it's kind of dead weight here, as Gothitelle goes for the Psychic. Even if it gets a special defense fall, or it won't matter as much, as Max Knuckle at +1 is going to knock out this Tyranitar, which already took half its HP down after being hit by a Protect. So this Rhyperior is at +2. If this Rhyperior can get like that weakness policy proc and be at +4, and that is a scary thought. And I'm really hoping we get to see it at some point. So Allan's going to have to really figure out what is he going to bring in here to, one, stop the damage from that Rhyperior from being too much. And I think Togekiss, if you allow the Togekiss to go for the Follow Me and take the attacks from Rhyperior, you can go for the Gothitelle going for some more damaging moves out here. But Gastrodon is going to come out onto the field. pretty good Pokemon actually to help support, won't take any sort of like residual damage from the Sandstorm, and is going to be able to have that chance to like do its own damage with anything like a Muddy Water that we saw last game, or go for something like Scald, which most Gastrodon are carrying right now. I think we are going to see, that Follow Me from Togekiss, so we're going to draw the attack in from the Rhyperior, is going to pretty much get knocked out from anything that's happening here from the Rhyperior. Imprison from Gothitelle one more time here, and nothing from that Imprison, as Max Rockfall is going to connect with that Togekiss at +2 already, and it is absolutely just going to demolish that Togekiss. And Allan is just going to be down to this Gothitelle and one other Pokemon, which could still actually turn the game around. Like, Dragon Ball, Gyarados, and Allan are all pretty scary Pokemon to have the accuracy drop. No accuracy drop from Muddy Water here, but does manage to get some damage onto Gothitelle. Allan still has his Dynamax move, which would be pretty important in this next turn. Gyarados coming out here. That max move from Gyarados is actually going to be, oh man, Dina's in such a good spot though, because she's got the Gastrodon with the Storm Drain, and she's got a water type Pokemon across the field from her, like, and this Rhyperior is still at +2, has not had its weakness policy proc. Like, this Gastrodon is like, hey buddy, don't worry, I'm here to help you out, don't worry about any sort of waterfall from Gyarados. Like, that Indeedee Rhyperior lead was the best choice right now for Dina to like make the most out of her turn right now. Like, she found a way to play around that Trick Room stoppage. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, but Gothitelle, Gyarados both here on the field. Allan's gonna Dynamax on this turn. He's down to his last 2 Pokemon. He's got to find a way to turn this around. He is, it's a 3v2 right now, and Gyarados as this big shiny red dragonfish, I guess, in some sense. Still think it's weird that Gyarados is not getting Dragon typing. Is going to be able to do some pretty heavy damage at this point. Gothitelle going for Protect, going to try to stay on the field for a little bit longer. And we do have the max overgrowth, and that Rindo Berry from Gastrodon is not going to do, well, it probably won't do that much. It's 4 times super effective. And we are gonna, that Gastrodon is gonna say bye-bye to us, and we are gonna see some water type moves now from Rhyperior later, but we do have the grassy terrain being set up now for Rhyperior. Not gonna be as good. Dina's gonna have to find some way to, nice, that Rock Slide at +2 right now. Not gonna hit the Gothitelle because of that Protect, but it's gonna do a lot of damage to that Gyarados. Gets to a little bit under half health. Does proc the Berry though for Gyarados. So, kind of a rough thing to see there. Sorry, yeah, that Citrus Berry is going to take damage though from the Sandstorm, and both Rhyperior and Gothitelle are going to restore their HP. The problem now here is you have a Dynamax Gyarados who has access to a water type move against the Rhyperior, who's going to take insane damage from it, even behind a Protect. But Hatterene is on the field now as the last Pokemon that Dina has. And it has a chance to maybe draw in an attack or so. I don't think it actually gets access to Follow Me. And both of Dina's Pokemon are slower than both of Allan's Pokemon. I don't think there's a chance we might see. I don't think she would risk trying to set up Trick Room now because of the fact that we know that Gothitelle has Imprison, as Max Geyser is going to carry that Rhyperior and is going to pick up that knockout on there 4 times against a Dynamax move. It's going to be a really rough time to see that for Rhyperior. We do see the rainfall coming down to just, rain down on this parade, but as Gothitelle goes for the Psychic. No longer boosted by Psychic Terrain because we do have the max overgrowth overriding that. As Hatterene goes for the Dazzling Gleam, is not quite able to pick up any sort of significant damage on either Pokemon, but at least able to see what Dazzling Gleam might do to both of them, as Hatterene does get an HP recovery alongside Gothitelle because of Grassy Terrain. So it is Hatterene versus these 2 Pokemon, but I think absolutely that Dina did her best to turn that one around. And I think, that Rhyperior and Indeedee combo did such a good job against the fact that you can look at your team throw, this is Hard Trick Room, he has a way to stop Hard Trick Room, and then still bring it back around that close. That is absolutely phenomenal. I think it kind of just goes to show you, even if your main strategy for a team doesn't work out, there are ways around it. Watching that Rhyperior get the +2 from Max Knuckle and then still be able to do some crazy damage against Allan's team, that puts somebody in a tough spot. And I think being able to understand, hey, trick room is not going to work, so I have to find some way to like go around it, and then adjusting in a really good way. I mean, that was insanely impressive, and like hats off to both of them. That was fun for me to watch. And that's actually the end of round 5 for right now, as everyone else behind me is playing, and we are going to go to round 6 whenever anybody else is done. So see you guys in a little bit.